Hello everyone, welcome to day 15. So for today, it took me a while, but I managed to get data working as well as saving kills when you kill someone, and I'll showcase it right now. Okay, so I have two clients open, right? We both got our leaderboards, and now I will kill this guy. It's gonna take a while because the damage is quite low, it's only 10. And boom, I killed him, I got a kill. And guess what? We're gonna leave. And now we're joining back. And bam! Look at the leaderboard. We left and joined back, and now it's 3. So yeah, we got data working, we got kills working. And now let me explain the code. Alright, to explain the code, I first have to explain all of the little instances I used or folders. Right, so first of all, in the main damage script, I have a player added function. So when someone joins the game, it makes a folder under their player called damage sources. Okay, you'll see when I play the game, I press players, J8 Alt, and I have one called damage sources. Right, whenever somebody attacks you, they get added to the damage source folder, and that happens here. Alright, so I added a little more to the remote event function. I also added a server sense check. Thank you to that one commenter. And so it doesn't just fully trust the damage module or whoever's firing to the server. It does a distance check between the two people, passes parameters, just to make sure that they're actually in range. So an exploiter can't just, somehow use hitbox extenders. Alright, so anyways, past that, we have this part, right? So first, for the remote event, we passed the opponent, right? And so we need the opponent's player so that we can get their sources of damage. So basically what this is saying is if the opponent player has no damage sources underneath it, right? So nobody has hit them, it creates a new int value with that player's name attached to it, and I'll show it to you right now. Alright, so I got two clients here, and now if I M1 him, right, now I should be listed under his sources of damage. So he's player 1. Let's go into players, player 1, damage sources, and player 2, which is this client, is listed as one of the sources of damage, as well as in the properties, the amount of damage I did to that player. So what that allows me to do, pretty much, is determine who gets kill credit. And that's in a later script, which I'll show in a moment. Also, if the opponent already has a damage source under your name in the folder, it essentially doesn't make a new one and instead just adds to the value. This is so that you aren't being given multiple instances over and over of the same person under your folder, because that would probably take up a lot of memory. Alright, next I have another server script. This is called allotting kills. But to first explain this one, I have another script. It's a local script, but this one's simple. Bear with me here, okay? It just fires a remote event when you die. That's it, okay? This one fires a remote event when you die. Next, that remote event then sends a signal to this script, okay? Ignore that. We don't need these prints anymore. I was debugging. It sends a signal to this script. And it does a sense check, right? A sanity check. Once again, thank you to that one commenter. It makes sure that the player that was passed as a parameter actually has no health before proceeding on with the rest of the script. The whole rest of this script is basically attributed to giving the person the kill. Okay. So I have another folder that's under everybody's player when they join. Okay. Alright, so I have this other script. It's called the datastore script, and this is basically where your data is set up. I basically followed most of this from the DevKing video, as this is my first time working with saving data. But instead of cache in his example, I used kills. Yeah, so every time a player joins, they're given a folder, and this folder is called leader stats. This is what allows the kills to show up on the leaderboard, okay? So if you have a folder named leader stats under your player, it shows up on the leaderboard. And then you'll notice that under leader stats is an int value called kills. Well, that's basically where the number of kills you have is stored. Okay. All right. So basically, when you join, your kills, or like the amount of kills you have, gets set to your data. Right. So whatever data is saved, it gets set to it. And when you leave the game, it saves your data. And that's pretty much the gist of it. Anyways, back to the allotting kill script. So once it does that server sense check, it pretty much does a for loop of all of your damage sources, okay? So all of the people who did damage to you, it loops through it, and it finds the person that has done the most damage to you. That's all this is. And so that person, I just set as whatever this function produces. And then it loops through the players tab, right? It just loops through every player in the game. If the name of the player matches the name of the player that did the most damage to you, then they get the kill, if that makes sense. Something I had trouble with was this little itty bitty thing, okay? So this line, I like spent a lot of time bug fixing my whole code. I wrote all of this without testing it, and it all worked. All of the logic was correct, except for this line. This line. So pretty much what I was doing was I was trying to check if a string was equal to a non-string, and that's like saying hello world equals hello world. And that's just never going to happen. They're not equal, right? So I had to stringify, essentially, the name of the person that needed to receive the kill, so that they could actually be equal. All right, I'll show it to you again. I have the two clients open. They both got their leaderboards. If I attack this guy and kill him, boom, my kills are there and it saves. So yeah, that's it. I also added some new sounds. For some reason they only play sometimes. I'm not really sure why that is, but I'll work on the sounds more tomorrow. Thanks for watching.